Today we're checking out Borderlands 4 using Bazzite Linux on the Framework desktop. Let's go! Welcome back to the channel. My name's Jscar, and today we're going to be checking out the performance of Bazzite Linux running on the Framework desktop with 128 gigs of RAM running the Ryzen AI Max 300 CPU. So they've integrated the RAM with everything else. So we're running BTOP to be able to show some of the performance and charts here, and then after that we're going to go to the other side and do the drop down menu to make sure the power mode is set to performance to get as much power out of this thing as possible. With that, let's go ahead and go to the next step. I then fire up my Steam client native on Linux with the Flatpak installer. It takes it for a minute for the Vulkan shaders to go through and load. This is a super fast machine because this is 128 gigs of RAM that is shared between the CPU, the video card, and system memory. We fire this up. Now, one of the things that you can see is that there's a very small performance readout at the very top left-hand side. This is the one that's built into the Steam client itself that you can actually enable across your games. You can go through and set this up. You can then see on the right-hand side, this is the one that's built into the Borderlands 4 options. Going through and blurring my username / my friends list over here. From here, we're going to go ahead and just fire this thing up. Once we hit continue, this is the real-time loading, getting into this, and it takes just a little bit. From here, we can go through and see the next thing we do once we pop into the world. I want you to see that some of the world pops in right about now. Then all the grass just becomes visible. This is on full screen mode. I'm on a 2K monitor. I'm set everything as badass. So here's scrolling through everything. So everything's on either ultra or very high. So this is about as maxed out as you can get without going to 4K. So from there, I just jump into the game, start running around a little bit so you can see the performance. And the top left-hand corner, again, I'm going to call out the frames per second. Right now, it's pulling in about 32, 34 frames per second. I'm not experiencing any stuttering when I'm playing this live. I am screen recording this with the built-in screen recorder with Bazzite, which is running GNOME desktop. A little bit later, I jump in and say, all right, let's go ahead and grab a vehicle and show you how quickly or how slowly things load. This is operating off of a Western Digital NVMe. It's about a 5,150 megabyte read-write speed. From here, this is just, everything's running at about 25, 26 frames per second. Completely playable. I know that other folks are going through and saying that they're having issues when, depending on their hardware that that they have some stuttering that's going on. This is a pretty beefy machine. While the frame rate is low, it's completely playable. So I did not go through and record audio for this because I thought it was probably going to get taken down. So then I jump over into, all right, let's get a new loadout going on, and then let's just get into some of the battles. So this is when I'm about level 6 or 7, going through and playing with this. And this is just uninterrupted gameplay going through and playing. It's still very much learning the game and the new movement style, since you have both dashing, you have like a ripcord, you've got double jump, you've got flying now, a whole bunch of other fun stuff. So not much of a game narrator. I'm more focused on the hardware side of the house and then showing you how you can game on Linux. Been a long time Linux user, full-time job is working with Linux, so love seeing more folks coming over and enabling folks to get into this. So the Framework desktop is very interesting because they've been making some amazing laptops in the years past. Big fan of it. You can see my other videos on my channel having to do with that, whether it's the original 13-inch with the upgradable modules and upgradable motherboard, which is great. I've also upgraded to the 16-inch, which then gave me the option to be able to have an AMD graphics card built into it, which was fantastic. That's been now my daily driver for a while. And then they came out with the Framework 12-inch, which is touchscreen and also user replaceable when it comes to the different modules for USB, for display drivers and such. Now, the interesting thing with the desktop is that while you can still use the same modules for like USB, sound card and such, The only thing that's upgradable right now is the NVMe, so just the storage. So it is a little bit of a diversion or an away from the repairability that they've gone through and done with their other laptops, but at the same time, much like the Macs that are out there that are using system memory and video memory all on one chip, that's basically what Framework has gone through and done working with AMD, and this thing's just screaming fast. So being able to play video games on it, no problem whatsoever, which is great. Again, gameplay is pretty seamless at this point, even at the 33 or 23 frames per second. You got highs and lows. It's pretty solid. Borderlands 4 came out on September 12th. You have to go through and play it over the weekend, be able to sample this a little bit. I'm doing my voiceover recording here on September 17th, so there's still lots of content to be able to be seen with Borderlands 4. It's fairly new, but if there are other games that you want me to play and try out, let me know, and I can do that on pretty much any of the hardware. I bought this with my own money. This is not sponsored by any means, so I'll be letting you know how things go with the reviews, how I'm using them day to day. Big proponents of open source and high repairability rates, so that's exactly what Framework has been aiming for the high repairability. I've upgraded my internals for my Framework 13-inch quite a few times and used the previous ones as other servers. So again, gameplay has been absolutely solid through all of this, as you can go through and see. And let's go ahead and jump to another section where I hit a boss battle for a minute, just to see about getting some true confusion and as much as we can go going on. Okay, jumping right into the first boss battle that I came across, which is Horus. Just jumping in here. I think I just hit level 7 at this point. I'm about halfway through that, and this is the first boss battle using the Framework. Again, we can see in the top left-hand corner, it's pulling in about 28 frames per second. I'm not getting any jitters right now. When I do go through and Alt-Tab out of this at some point in time, I'll probably do that at the very end of the video, showing you how much power it's sucking down. It's about 120 watts or so when it's going through and playing everything on Badass. So even with all the confusion that different boss battles go through and bring, he'll summon a couple minions here and have even more, just some folks call it Christmas lights, or just all the different actions that are going on scene. It gets a little bit chaotic, so just to see if it starts slowing down the system anymore, and to be honest with you, completely playable. So along with that, let me jump to the end here where we defeat him. Okay, at this point he's very nearly dead. We're finishing off the last quarter of his health bar after we've got him down, almost getting knocked down ourselves. So from here, lots of different things going on screen, still pulling 30 frames per second, pulling it down. The Christmas explosion happens, they drop the loot. No legendaries this time, but that's okay. And from here, we're able to go through and make sure we've got all of our weapons all loaded back up again. Going back to the main menu, just showing things. I'm going to Alt-Tab here and bring up my B-top that I'd gone through and launched at the very beginning of the game. I played for about an hour, hour and a half. We're doing the screen recording, so I've definitely cut this down a bit. We can go through and see on the loading screen, which kind of froze here a little bit. So again, the game is not bug-free by any means. It's just a very beefy machine. And we can see right now it's pulling down like 90-something watts here in the left-hand side of the screen. And as we can go through and see, when we've zoomed into our B-top, we can see how much power is being used. The graph that's underneath the text here, you can see how it went from red, now it's down about only being used half. So we are using about 120 some odd watts when we are going through and playing the game. So this was a lot of fun to go through and test out. I'm usually not one testing out video games on different hardware, but if that's something that you would like to go through and see, I'm a fan of the Framework hardware, whether it's their desktop or their laptops. I'm also a big self-hoster. If you want to be able to go through and see this thing run like local LLMs instead of you going through and using cloud-based, let me know. I'll be happy to go through and test it. Make sure to smash that like button. Put a comment below on what you want to see this machine or any of the laptops go through and run and do. And if you have any Linux questions, place them down below. Thanks, and we'll hope to see you next time.